You know, in the world of gold mining, you have good years, and then you have truly exceptional years. Well, for Lundin Gold, 2025 was absolutely one of those exceptional ones. We're going to break down exactly how they managed to hit record cash flow, master their operations, and give a huge return back to their shareholders. So, let's get right into it.
All right, so what we're looking at here are the Q4 and full year results for Lundin Gold. And if you're not familiar, these are the folks running the Fruta del Norte mine down in Ecuador, which, by the way, is one of the highest grade gold mines on the planet. And believe me, the story these numbers tell, it's all about incredible performance.
Okay, let's just start with the biggest number on the page, the real showstopper. We're talking $926 million in free cash flow. And just to be clear, that's not revenue. That's the actual cash left in the bank after paying for everything, all the expenses, all the new equipment. It's basically a giant war chest, giving them some serious flexibility. So, the big question is, how on earth did they get here?
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at what made it a record-breaking year. Then, we'll dive into the incredible work at the mine itself. After that, it's all about the financial payoff, what's next for them, and finally, how they're rewarding their shareholders.
So let's really put this into perspective. 2025 wasn't just, a good year for Lundin Gold. No, this was a year where they basically tore up their own record books and started fresh. They set a completely new bar for themselves across the board, from production all the way to profit.
The president and CEO, Jamie Beck, really hit the nail on the head with this quote. He points out that it wasn't just one thing going right. It was this perfect storm, really. A combination of strong operations, amazing financial results, and big dividends for shareholders. So, let's take a look at the engine that actually drove all of this success.
All right, so the absolute heart of Lundin Gold's success story is their Fruta del Norte mine. I mean, you don't just stumble into financial results like these. They're built piece by piece on a solid foundation of operational excellence, crazy efficiency, and, maybe most importantly, a huge focus on safety. Now this tells a really interesting story. The key word here is efficiency. Look at this, they mined more tons of ore, and they processed it faster, pushing their mill to a brand new record for throughput. Yeah, the total gold ounces produced dips just a tiny bit, but that's not the main story. The big takeaway is that they are squeezing more out of their main asset than ever before. They're just running it harder and smarter.
But, here's a number that honestly might be even more impressive than all those dollar signs. 0. A big fat 0. That's how many lost time incidents they had in the entire year. That right there, that speaks volumes about how seriously they take safety.
And get this, it wasn't some kind of fluke. They actually set a new company record for safety. We're talking about their lowest annual total recordable incident rate in the company's entire history. And listen, for anyone watching the stock, this isn't just a nice-to-have feel-good metric. This is a cold, hard indicator of discipline. It means less downtime, and that directly protects the bottom line. It shows they're not just productive, they are reliably productive, day in and day out.
Okay, so we've seen how well they're running the mine. Now for the fun part, the financial payoff. All that hard work, that efficiency, that focus on safety, it all translated directly into some absolutely eye-popping numbers on the balance sheet.
Let's start at the top. A record $1.78 billion in total revenue. Wow. Now, this was driven by two key things. One, their own strong production, and two, a really strong gold price. They were just perfectly positioned to take full advantage of it.
And here's that massive cash flow number we talked about, but check this out with some context. Look at that leap. I mean, they went from an already pretty healthy $304 million in 2024 all the way up to $926 million in 2025. That's more than tripling their free cash flow in just 1 year. It's just a testament to how good they are at generating cash without having to spend a ton.
Now, you might look at their costs and see that they came in a little higher than they guided for, and that might raise a red flag, right? But hold on, because there's a really good reason for it. See, their cost estimate, their all-in sustaining cost, was based on them thinking gold would be about $2,500 an ounce, but the actual price they got, it was almost $3,600. So why does that make a difference?
Well, the company's CFO, Chester C., lays it out perfectly. When the price of gold goes way up, so do the royalties they have to pay and the profit sharing with their employees. So yeah, their costs went up, but it was because their revenues went up even more. I think we can all agree that is a very good problem to have, and it led to an incredible 72% margin.
Look, a record year is fantastic, but if you're an investor, you're immediately asking,
Okay, what's next? What are you going to do for me tomorrow? And Lundin Gold gets that. They're already looking ahead, using this incredibly strong position to build an even bigger future.
So how do you top a year like that? Well, the answer is simple. You don't sit back and relax. You take that success and you invest it right back into growth, and that's exactly what they're doing. They've got some really exciting things coming up.
Their strategy for growth has a few different angles. First, they're looking right next door, adding new reserves and deposits that are super close by. Second, they're looking at a big expansion to their mill so they can process even more ore. And third, and this is the really exciting long-term play, they're starting to uncover what looks like a massive new copper-gold corridor. That could add a completely new dimension to the company.
And this is the really crucial point here. Even after they dug up almost 500,000 ounces of gold, their total reserves, the gold still left in the ground, actually grew by 6%. Think about that. That just shows you the quality of this asset. They're not just replacing what they mine, they're finding more, which means a much longer and more profitable future.
And they are not slowing down. They are doubling down. For 2026, they've planned a 133,000-meter drill program. To put that in perspective, that is the single largest exploration program in the company's entire history. It just shows they are all in on unlocking the full potential of this area.
Okay, so we've seen the machine at work and the blueprints for the future. Now, let's talk about the final, and for many, the most important piece of the puzzle. How all of this success gets returned to the people who actually own the company, the shareholders.
And this number, honestly, is just as impressive as that huge cash flow figure. In just 1 year, Lundin Gold handed back $664 million in cash to its shareholders, all through dividends. You can't get a clearer signal than that about their commitment to returning capital.
And they're not just winging it. They have a really smart two-part system for this. So first, shareholders get a steady, fixed dividend every single quarter. That's your predictable base. But then, on top of that, they get a variable dividend that's tied directly to how much cash the company is making. It's a great setup that means when the company has a monster year, so do the shareholders.
And this right here just perfectly sums up what a powerful position they're in. I mean, even after paying out all those hundreds of millions in dividends, they still ended the year with $630 million of cash in the bank. And maybe even more important, zero debt. That gives them incredible flexibility to do pretty much whatever they want. Fund growth, keep rewarding shareholders, you name it.
So we kind of end up right back where we started, with a company that is absolutely at the top of its game. They just delivered a truly historic year. But you get the feeling the story is nowhere near over. With a balance sheet that's basically a fortress and a map full of exciting new places to drill, the only real question left is, what record are they going to break next?